Hey everybody, this is the Golden Nugget Gamer, and this is 5 reasons Kingdom Come Deliverance is great. Kingdom Come Deliverance is about a young man that grows up in Bohemia in 1403, which tells the tale of Henry, a blacksmith's son that becomes a knight in a realistic world about knights and lords and kings and nobles. Historical Bohemia was the land ruled by Bohemian kings and nobles that established and ruled lands with an iron fist. It is what is known today as the Czech Republic and some territories around it. In this story, you are a blacksmith's son that recently started training with a sword, and you have very few aspirations in your life other than traveling across the land to see other things. Kingdom Come Deliverance show a historical depiction of what it was like to live in this age and how nobles treated their subjects. I have put a disclaimer here though, being that I don't talk about things that I don't like about games, because I'm trying to show you the positive sides of the games that I play. If you're looking for input or criticism on a game, why you like a game, so you can identify the things that appeal to you. If I don't show you reasons on newer games I play, just means that I haven't seen the positive sides yet. I also don't play newer games much, since I like to get a complete experience on the games, which means most of the time I will have to wait for years until all expansions and DLC has come out for a set game. This also gives developers a chance to better their game for their audience. I believe in giving people a chance to show you what their best looks like. The moment when you see the ideas rise above everything and create something beautiful for the gaming market. The first reason Kingdom Come Deliverance is great is the historic appeal. Events in Kingdom Come Deliverance have certain threads to historical events in the real world. Now, I'm not saying that it is historical accurate, but it led me several times on Wikipedia research on the nobles of the main characters in the game. If I saw some interesting characters in the game, I would find out their story and try and compare it to the game. I think this is definitely the intention by the game makers, that it would spur you to explore the real history behind the characters and how they lived. I think someone who wants to learn about how people lived in the era of the Bohemian kings and how different people were treated during this time is actually a very fun time. For instance, I had no idea that executioners were paid well, but also considered kind of a pariah to society. Oftentimes they were not allowed to live in villages because people simply didn't want them there. Even forests were under nobility control, which meant that forest people were not allowed to hunt. This is all displayed in Kingdom Come Deliverance and how you interact with the world. 1403 is an interesting time in Bohemia because the land had lost its king, Wenceslaus IV, and now another King Sigismund, his brother, attempted to sack the land and tax it while persecuting supporters of Wenceslaus IV. One thing that wasn't widespread enough as in the game was banditry, but I think it was done to make the game more engaging for the player. Henry starts out in Skalitz, or Silver Skalitz, because of its silver mine, which was sacked by King Sigismund, and the town is burned down. The story takes place in the Sasau district of Bohemia, which means you will never go to the capital Prague. However, there are some weird things about Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is no kids in the game, which I believe is a sidestep. A lot of the anguish about the portrayal of kids in games. Bohemia is shown as a place where everyone knows their place in the system and conforms to their role in society. I will say again, while not historically accurate down to the bone, I think Kingdom Come Deliverance tries to really give an authentic experience of what it's like being a knight or a soldier in the Bohemian era. The second reason that Kingdom Come Deliverance is great is its unique gameplay mechanics. In the game, combat is very hard when you consider the first-person camera view. The game wants to challenge you with its combat by several measures that will challenge you. First time you start combat with a real enemy, it can be daunting because you are, after all, a smith's son and have zero combat experience. This is reflected and you get your hide handed to you. When I started out, I tried going against the soldiers that attack Skeleton in the beginning and was simply too hard for me in melee combat. I couldn't quite figure my way around. Later, it takes you on a journey to start training as a squire, where everyone believes that you are not worthy of the position, but even so, you start learning how to fight. The combat itself is very advanced for a melee first-person combat game. Just to name an example, if you have the sword in your hand, there are about 8 positions you can start your sword in before even attacking. When you meet more than one opponent, it sends chills down your spine because an attack from the back can be deadly. An arrow at the wrong time can mean certain death. But given time, you will train with capable soldiers that will teach you how to win fights and which kind of weapons are suited against armor and no armor. Getting an arrow off before the fight starts can take out one of your enemies before melee combat starts. Also, if you are surrounded by people in dialogue, it's easier to talk your way out of it and then assault them later on. An example I can give was that I was chasing down information on an attack on a stable village, and I eventually come into contact with 4 of these enemy soldiers. They try and get me to tell me where they can find this informant, and the first 2 times I wanted to try and fight them, it did not go well. I was put into the ground with no chance of victory. I switched tactics, however, because I wanted to win against them and therefore lied to them about where the information was and said that they would leave one soldier to guard me while they went and checked on this location. As soon as the others were out of sight, I took out my sword and killed the one guarding me, and then I mounted up on my horse and chased the other 3 down. In games, you decide if you want to play stealth, straight melee, and archer character. However, in Kingdom Come Deliverance, you will need every single tool to overcome enemies and situations that you couldn't otherwise. There isn't a magical spell that can make you super strong in combat, and only way to overcome large numbers are having your own men by your side. You can also achieve max level, and at that point it isn't as daunting anymore because enemies start running away from you. You're simply grown too much and you become too much of a swordsman for some bandits to handle. I played hardcore, which meant there was no reticle for the bow, and it became more challenging to hit enemies if they were moving. The more I played, however, the more I loved the system, and that is why I think it was good. The third reason I really liked Kingdom Come Deliverance was the main character. Henry is by all measure a very useless person in the beginning. He is also kind of dumb, but in a lovable way. He has a strong attachment to his family and respect the rules of society. The funny thing is, as a player, you are far more aware of situations than Henry, but you can still understand why this is. First time I met Lady Stephanie, for example, I understood that Henry wasn't very aware of the situation of Stephanie being attracted to him because her own husband was old and infirm. But as a more mature person, I had a understanding that there would be some time later where the opportunity for romance might be possible, even though the dialogue wasn't saying it out loud. It was written between the lines, and it made for a fun interaction as Henry had trouble understanding the situation. But I think more mature players were aware the first time they encountered Lady Stephanie. Also, the interactions with Hans Capone in the game is hilarious, as Hans and Henry are about the same age, but Henry grows up very fast and becomes more mature than the coddled noble Hans Capone. You have several fights with Hans and eventually become friends with him. Hans's nature is more like a jokester, like he has the world in the palm of his hand, so he will play jokes on Henry sometimes, which leads to hilarious situations, like stealing the bailiff's wine, where even Hans is like, "Did you really just do that?" Henry is naive in the best way possible, and also a very honest person to the world around him. This leads people to like him, even though he is being promoted above his station in life. In a brilliant way, Henry can walk in both worlds, and it makes for some funny interactions where Henry has sort of a life from Skalitz with the commoners, but also he begins to go more and more into the world of aristocracy. The fourth reason Kingdom Come Deliverance is great is the realistic towns and forests. The towns around the world are beautiful and have some realism to them. You have these small towns that act as workstations for farming, and then you have the bigger cities that house castles and nobles with soldiers. If you have a good horse, it's easy to travel around the world of Kingdom Come Deliverance in a fast pace. I played the game in hardcore mode, which meant there was no fast travel. I didn't mind this because I saw the forests and the towns much more as I was riding back and forth. I also encountered unique events because I was always on the road to the next city. It also forced me to be a bit more efficient when it came to exploring towns at a time and trying to do as much in the town as possible. I learned to have more patience and enjoy the journey along the way. The fifth reason I like Kingdom Come Deliverance is the familiar and the unfamiliar. I have played many RPG games, and some of them had medieval themes in them, but it was never historically accurate games. Kingdom Come Deliverance is a lot of what I already knew, but wrapped up in entirely new things. We all have preconceived notions of what life was like in medieval ages for people and how knights are depicted. We get this from popular culture that does not always align with the more realistic world. Knights were not always glamorous heroes on horseback. Sometimes they were bodyguards, enforcers, and even sometimes bandits. Kingdom Come Deliverance takes a hard look at the culture in Bohemian era of the now Czech Republic, and you see many songs and swear words incorporated into the game from the dialect of the Czech people. The writing in the game was very good in my opinion, because you could read between the lines sometimes. Hidden meanings and tests in dialogue on your understanding of the world. Though it could be perceived as a simple on the surface, there were often meanings behind dialogue that wasn't expressed. While the main protagonist in the game is very straightforward, he also knows not to overstep his bounds. At the beginning, I had some idea that he was special in some way, and later learned I was right. I haven't played many games like this. I think I can run comparisons to Mordhau, Chivalry, or Mountain Blade, but those games do not have the same story as Kingdom Come Deliverance, so it makes the game very unique in that sense. I have played many RPG games in my lifetime, and Kingdom Come has some familiar leveling systems with a combination of more unfamiliar advanced combat. If you like the content so far, please like and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching and have a nice day.